Hello, my dear listeners. Welcome back to this gentle place where dreams unfold through whispered tales. I'm Anna, and tonight I invite you to journey with me to a realm where emerald waters dance between ancient limestone terraces, where the very air seems to shimmer with countless droplets of crystalline mist. Plitvice Lakes in Croatia has always held a special corner of my heart, a place where I once felt the velvet moss beneath my fingertips and heard the symphony of 16 waterfalls cascading in perfect harmony through primeval forests. The memory of that ethereal turquoise glow, unlike any blue I've witnessed elsewhere, still visits my dreams. As we begin this evening's wandering together, let your breathing deepen and your muscles soften into the embrace of whatever supports you now. Can you imagine what secrets the ancient beech trees might whisper to the limestone cliffs that have been listening for thousands of years? The morning arrives with pearl-soft light filtering through towering beech and fir trees, their canopy creating a cathedral of dappled shadows that dance across moss-covered pathways. Here in this UNESCO sanctuary, time moves differently, unhurried, like honey dripping from a wooden spoon. Your bare feet find purchase on the smooth wooden boardwalks that curve and meander above waters so clear they seem like liquid crystal, revealing every pebble, every swaying strand of aquatic grass in the depths below. The air carries the faintest perfume of wild orchids mingled with the green scent of limestone springs, cool and mineral sweet against your skin. Each breath draws in the essence of ancient forests, where centuries of fallen leaves have created a rich tapestry beneath towering trunks. The atmosphere wraps around you like silk, neither warm nor cool, but perfectly balanced, a gentle caress that makes your shoulders drop and your jaw unclench without conscious thought. Moving deeper into this liquid paradise, the sound of distant waterfalls creates a lullaby that seems to emanate from the very stones themselves. Water whispers secrets in a dozen different voices, the gentle plinking of droplets into hidden pools, the soft rush of streams finding their eternal path downward, the deeper rumble of Veliki Slap, the great waterfall somewhere in the misty distance. These sounds layer upon each other like instruments in nature's orchestra, never overwhelming, always soothing. Your fingertips trail along the worn smoothness of sun-warmed limestone as you pause beside one of the lower lakes. The stone feels alive beneath your touch, sculpted by millennia of patient water into curves and hollows that fit your palm perfectly. Tiny fish dart through the translucent depths like living jewels, their silver scales catching fragments of sunlight that penetrate the water's surface in shimmering columns. A butterfly lands momentarily on your wrist, gossamer wings in shades of amber and copper, so delicate you barely feel its presence. The sensation is like a whispered blessing before it spirals away toward clusters of wild honeysuckle that perfume the air with their intoxicating sweetness. The fragrance mingles with the ozonic scent that rises from the cascading waters, creating an olfactory symphony that changes with each gentle breeze. As you continue along the winding pathways, the landscape transforms gradually before your eyes. The waters shift from deep sapphire in the shadowed depths to brilliant turquoise where sunlight penetrates, then to palest jade where minerals create their own underwater gardens. Each lake reflects the sky differently, some mirror still, others rippled by invisible currents that create constantly changing patterns of light and shadow. The wooden walkways creak softly beneath your steps, a comforting sound that speaks of countless other travelers who have found solace in this place. Your hand glides along the smooth handrails, worn silk soft by weather and time, while overhead, leaves rustle with the promise of stories untold. The canopy filters light into 1,000 shades of green, from the palest chartreuse of new spring growth to the deep emerald of ancient moss that carpets fallen logs. Mist rises from a nearby cascade, so fine it seems more like a dream than water. It kisses your cheeks with coolness, each droplet a tiny benediction that seems to wash away the weight of worldly concerns. The air here tastes of purity itself, clean and sweet, carrying hints of wild herbs that grow in hidden crevices among the limestone formations. Your journey continues past travertine barriers that nature has built over countless centuries, each one a masterpiece of organic architecture. These natural dams create terraced pools that seem to glow with their own inner light. The accumulated sediments having crafted formations more beautiful than any human sculptor could imagine. The water spills from one level to the next in curtains of liquid silver, each fall creating its own music, its own rhythm in the greater symphony. As the path leads you higher through this aquatic paradise, new vistas unfold. The horizon reveals distant peaks clothed in violet shadows, their ridges softening into watercolor brushstrokes against an opalescent sky. Ravens call from the uppermost branches, their voices surprisingly melodic as they echo across the valley's natural amphitheater. Below, the interconnected chain of 16 lakes spreads like scattered sapphires on green velvet, each one cradled in its own fold of the ancient landscape. Your palm discovers the rough texture of oak bark as you steady yourself beside a centuries-old giant whose roots disappear into crevices between limestone blocks. The bark tells stories in its deep furrows and raised ridges, while overhead, leaves whisper secrets in a language older than memory. Acorns crunch softly underfoot, releasing their nutty fragrance into air that grows thinner and more invigorating with each step upward. The temperature shifts almost imperceptibly as you climb, each breath carrying a crystalline clarity that seems to cleanse not just your lungs, but your very thoughts. Wisps of cloud drift between the tree trunks, so low you could almost gather them in your cupped hands. They bring with them the scent of distant rain and mountain meadows, a freshness that makes your skin tingle with gentle electricity. Here, where the upper lakes begin their ancient conversation, the water speaks in different dialects. Some pools bubble with springs that have journeyed through underground labyrinths for decades, carrying minerals that paint the lake beds in subtle pastels: rose quartz pink, weathered copper green, and the softest pearl gray. Other waters lie perfectly still, their surfaces tension, creating natural mirrors that double the beauty of overhanging willows, whose trailing fronds create curtains of living lace. A red deer steps delicately from the forest shadows, pausing to drink at the water's edge. Its coat gleams like burnished mahogany in the filtered light, muscles moving with liquid grace beneath velvet skin. The animal acknowledges your presence with dark, knowing eyes before disappearing as silently as it appeared, leaving only the faintest impression of hoofprints in the soft earth beside the lake's rim. Your journey curves around a natural amphitheater where Sastovci Falls creates its own microclimate. Here, the constant spray has encouraged gardens of heart-stung ferns to unfurl like ancient scrolls, their glossy fronds catching droplets that transform into tiny prisms. The negative ions released by the falling water create an almost euphoric sense of well-being, as if the very air itself possesses healing properties that seep into your bones and bloodstream. Smooth river stones shift gently beneath your feet as you wade into the shallows of Kozjak, the largest and deepest of all the lakes. The water embraces your ankles with coolness that travels upward through your entire being, while beneath the surface, centuries-old submerged logs create an underwater forest where small fish weave between branches like feathered birds navigating an aerial maze. The sensation of standing in this liquid cathedral fills you with profound reverence for the patient artistry of geological time. As evening begins its gradual descent, the light transforms from gold to amber to the softest rose. Bats emerge from hidden roosts, their flight patterns creating invisible calligraphy against the deepening sky. Their ultrasonic calls add an ethereal frequency to the evening's soundtrack, while fireflies begin their ancient dance among the reeds that line the quieter backwaters. Each tiny light pulses with bioluminescent magic, creating constellations that mirror the first stars appearing overhead. The wooden boardwalk leads you past formations where calcium carbonate has built underwater gardens more fantastical than coral reefs. Subaqueous meadows of moss sway in currents so gentle they seem moved by the breathing of sleeping water nymphs. The sight induces a meditative trance, your own breathing synchronizing with these underwater rhythms, until the boundary between observer and observed dissolves entirely. Night blooming jasmine releases its intoxicating perfume from climbing vines that have claimed ancient limestone walls. The fragrance mingles with the earthier scents of mushrooms and decomposing leaves, creating an olfactory mandala that shifts and changes with each exhalation. Somewhere in the darkness, an owl calls with haunting beauty, its voice carrying across waters that reflect not just starlight, but something deeper, the accumulated peace of millennia. Your final steps bring you to a secluded cove where thermal springs create pockets of warmth in the cooler evening air. Here, microscopic organisms paint the water with phosphorescent trails that follow the movement of your hand, creating temporary artwork that fades even as you watch. The springs bubble with primordial contentment, their mineral-rich waters carrying stories from deep within the earth's memory, tales of pressure and time, darkness and eventual emergence into this ethereal realm of light and flowing beauty. As complete darkness settles over Plitvice like a velvet blanket studded with diamonds, the lakes continue their eternal conversation in voices now hushed to whispers. The last sensation is of absolute tranquility, seeping into every cell of your being. A peace so profound it seems to emanate from the very stones themselves, carrying you gently toward dreams filled with turquoise waters and the timeless music of cascading streams. In the profound stillness, your consciousness drifts between waking and dreaming, floating like morning mist above the lake's surface. The Croatian night reveals secrets invisible during daylight hours, phosphorescent algae creating underwater constellations with each disturbance of the water, while cave openings exhale ancient air that tastes of millennial chambers and underground rivers. Your skin registers these subtle temperature variations as whispered stories from the Earth's hidden depths, each thermal current carrying its own geological signature. Nocturnal creatures emerge from their daylight sanctuaries, adding new textures to the symphony surrounding you. Pine martens rustle through undergrowth with velvet footsteps, their presence felt rather than seen as they navigate secret highways between root systems and fallen timber. Somewhere beyond your vision, a family of wild boar creates gentle percussion as they forage among beech nuts, their snuffling breaths creating small clouds in the cooling air that carry the warm, earthy scent of contented animals. The moon, now ascending through wisps of cloud, casts pewter pathways across the water's surface that shift and dance with imperceptible currents. These silver highways seem to beckon you deeper into contemplation, each ripple creating new patterns that hypnotize and soothe. Shadows lengthen and soften, transforming familiar daytime landscapes into dreamscapes where imagination and reality merge seamlessly. Your bare feet discover patches of wild thyme crushed along lesser-known trails, releasing aromatic oils that rise like incense in the sacred space between earth and sky. The herb's fragrance mingles with night-blooming catchfly, whose star-shaped flowers open exclusively under moonlight, their sweet nectar attracting hawk moths, whose wing beats create the faintest humming vibration you feel in your chest, rather than hear with your ears. Thermal layers in the lakes create gentle convection, currents that massage tired muscles as you wade deeper into the embrace of these ancient waters. The sensation resembles floating in liquid moonbeams, each movement through different temperature zones, providing a natural hydrotherapy that relaxes tension you didn't realize you were carrying. Minerals dissolved over countless centuries, magnesium, calcium, trace elements whose names matter less than their healing touch, penetrate your skin through osmosis, creating a sense of cellular renewal. Underground streams announce their presence through subtle vibrations transmitted through limestone bedrock. Their hidden passages carrying water from distant mountain slopes through cathedral-sized caverns you'll never see but somehow sense. This subsurface architecture creates its own music, felt through the soles of your feet as much as heard. A bass note so low it registers in your bones and synchronizes with your heartbeat until you become part of the geological rhythm itself. Stalactites and stalagmites, still forming drop by patient drop in caves beneath your feet, continue their millennium-long conversation in frequencies below human hearing. Yet something in your deeper consciousness responds to these vibrations, recognizing in them the same patience that carved these terraces, the same persistence that created this aquatic paradise through the accumulation of countless tiny moments, each perfect and complete in itself. Night-flying insects create barely visible light shows as their wings catch starlight and scatter it in prismatic flashes too brief for conscious recognition, but sufficient to add sparkle to peripheral vision. These momentary glimmers combine with the phosphorescent water and emerging stars to create a sensation of being suspended in three-dimensional space, filled with gentle, benevolent light from sources both near and impossibly distant. The acoustic properties of the valley change dramatically in darkness, sounds traveling farther and with greater clarity through the cooled air. A branch falling miles away creates ripples in the auditory landscape, while the breathing of sleeping swans on distant lakes adds barely perceptible rhythm to the night's composition. Your own pulse becomes part of this orchestra, no longer separate from, but harmoniously integrated with the natural cadences surrounding you. Dewdrops begin forming on spider webs stretched between cattail stalks, each one a tiny lens focusing starlight into pinpricks of brilliance. The mathematical precision of these webs speaks to the same geometric principles that govern the formation of the travertine barriers. Hexagonal basalt columns hidden beneath layers of sediment, and the spiral patterns water creates when draining through limestone sinkholes as you float in perfect buoyancy, cradled by water warmed by thermal springs and cooled by mountain runoff. Your body temperature equalizes with your liquid environment until the boundary between self and lake becomes increasingly theoretical. This dissolution of physical separation opens doorways to deeper rest, the kind that occurs when conscious control releases its grip and allows natural healing processes to assume their ancient authority. Crayfish emerge from crevices to conduct their nocturnal business, their movements creating tiny currents that tickle your motionless limbs like gentle electric currents. These miniature massage therapists work without agenda, their natural behaviors creating accidental acupressure that releases endorphins into your bloodstream. The sensation resembles being groomed by benevolent spirits whose only purpose is your complete relaxation and restoration. Star charts reflect perfectly in the still water, creating the illusion of floating through space itself, suspended between twin infinities of cosmic beauty. Planets visible to the naked eye appear both above and below, their light traveling impossible distances to participate in this moment of perfect tranquility. The realization that you're witnessing photons that began their journey years ago adds a temporal dimension to the experience, connecting you not just to distant space, but to distant time. Your breathing automatically adjusts to match the rhythm of tiny waves lapping against limestone shores, each exhalation releasing accumulated stress, each inhalation drawing in not just oxygen, but the essential peace that permeates this protected sanctuary. The carbon dioxide you release feeds aquatic plants whose oxygen production maintains the delicate balance that allows such clarity, such purity, such profound healing to flourish in this corner of Croatia, where nature has achieved something approaching perfection. Sleep begins its gentle approach, arriving not as unconsciousness, but as expanded awareness that encompasses the entire watershed, feeling the slow circulation of groundwater, the patient growth of moss, the dreams of hibernating creatures, and the eternal conversation between stone and stream that continues regardless of human presence. A conversation of which you have now become a temporary but welcomed participant. The embrace of sleep carries you downstream through consciousness like a leaf riding invisible currents, your awareness expanding to encompass the entire hydrological cycle that births these waters high in the Dinaric Alps. Snowflakes that fell decades ago complete their journey through underground aquifers, emerging as the springs that feed Prishkansko Jezero, the highest lake in this stepped paradise. Your dreaming mind follows their path through porous dolomite, tasting the mineral conversations between water and stone that occur in absolute darkness over geological time. Beneath your floating form, ancient peat deposits release methane bubbles that rise like liquid pearls, each one carrying microscopic passengers, bacteria older than human civilization that continue their patient work of decomposition and renewal. These tiny spheres tickle your spine as they ascend, creating a natural effervescence that transforms the lake into a living champagne of elements, so pure they seem distilled from moonlight itself. The sensation resembles being caressed by the breath of sleeping dragons, whose exhalations carry the wisdom of eons. Willow branches trailing in the water create living harp strings that vibrate with frequencies felt rather than heard, their underwater portions swaying to currents that follow magnetic fields invisible to human perception. These subsurface melodies register in your inner ear's balance centers, inducing a vertigo so gentle it feels like levitation. Your body rocks in harmony with these aquatic rhythms, while somewhere beyond conscious thought, your nervous system recalibrates itself to match the Earth's own electromagnetic heartbeat. Layers of sediment beneath you tell stories written in compressed autumn leaves, each stratum a chapter in the forest's autobiography, spanning centuries of seasonal cycles. Spring pollens from long-dead oak trees rest beside fossilized beetle wings, and the calcium shells of creatures whose names exist only in paleontological journals. Your sleeping mind reads this archive through osmosis, absorbing memories of medieval winters when ice locked these waters for months, and Roman summers when soldiers fleeing barbarian raids discovered healing in these hidden pools. Temperature inversions create invisible steps in the water column, each thermal layer corresponding to different seasons trapped at various depths. Your limbs encounter pockets of water warmed by July sunlight alongside currents that remember January storms, creating a liquid time capsule where all seasons exist simultaneously. This temporal blending induces dreams where chronology becomes meaningless, where cause and effect dissolve into the eternal present moment that water eternally inhabits. Microscopic diatoms construct geometric cathedrals from pure silica, their architectural precision visible only to sleeping consciousness that perceives beauty at scales unavailable to waking eyes. These single-celled artists create mandala patterns that shift and reform with each current, their glass houses refracting light into spectra that exist beyond the visible range, yet somehow paint themselves across your dreaming vision in colors for which language has no names. Deep beneath the travertine foundations, underground rivers carve galleries through limestone substrates, their sculpture work proceeding at speeds measured in millennia. Your resting awareness descends through these aquatic caverns where blind fish navigate by pressure waves, and cave pearls form in pools that have never known sunlight. The darkness here possesses texture soft as velvet, where clay particles settle, smooth as marble, where water has polished stone for centuries, beyond counting. Electromagnetic fields generated by underground water movement create subtle auroras invisible to conscious sight, but perceived by the pineal gland as shifting geometries of indigo and violet. These terrestrial light shows dance behind closed eyelids, while your body absorbs negative ions released by the constant cascade of falls, each charged particle carrying healing properties that indigenous peoples recognized long before science could measure their effects on serotonin production and cellular regeneration. Fungi extending for miles through interconnected root systems beneath the forest floor communicate through chemical signals that translate into dreams of vast neural networks spanning continents. Your sleeping mind plugs into this organic internet, downloading forest wisdom accumulated through decades of seasonal observations, storm survivals, and symbiotic relationships between species whose cooperation creates the stability that allows such pristine waters to exist in an increasingly polluted world. Gravity itself seems negotiable here, where water flows upward through capillary action in moss stems, where morning dew defies downward pull to climb grass blades toward sunrise, where the very atoms in your body respond to tidal forces created by planetary alignments occurring overhead. This liberation from conventional physics creates dreams of weightlessness, of consciousness unbound by corporeal limitations, free to explore dimensions where time flows backward and memory becomes prophecy. hibernating creatures in hollow trees and underground burrows contribute their slow breathing to the valley's respiratory rhythm. Their reduced metabolisms creating pools of concentrated life force that your dreaming self draws upon for restoration. Bears in winter dens, dormice in bark crevices, countless insects in chrysalis states, all participate in this collective unconscious that transforms sleep from mere rest into active participation in nature's most sacred mysteries. Tectonic pressures far below create crystalline structures in bedrock, whose lattice patterns influence the molecular arrangement of water passing through them, imprinting each droplet with geometric memories of Earth's deep architecture. This structured water carries information in its hydrogen bonds, programming that activates dormant healing codes in human DNA, while consciousness floats in this liquid library where every molecule contains encyclopedic knowledge of planetary evolution. Wind patterns established by the valley's unique topography create standing waves in the atmosphere that persist long after their generating breezes have stilled. Your dreaming body rides these invisible swells while reality becomes increasingly fluid, boundaries between elements dissolving until air becomes water, becomes earth, becomes consciousness itself, all unified in the singular experience of complete surrender to forces infinitely larger, yet infinitely intimate, ancient beyond measurement, yet immediately, eternally present in this perfect moment of absolute peace. Your consciousness drifts deeper into the valley's embrace as dawn approaches with gossamer steps, painting the horizon in shades of apricot and pearl that have never before existed and will never repeat. The lake's surface begins its daily transformation from obsidian mirror to living crystal, while beneath your weightless form, colonies of beneficial bacteria orchestrate chemical symphonies that purify water through processes more elegant than any human filtration system. These microscopic alchemists work in shifts, their cellular exchanges creating subtle effervescence that massages your spine with bubbles no larger than pinheads. Ancient limestone formations respond to barometric pressure changes hours before your conscious mind registers the approaching weather, their porous structures expanding and contracting in slow motion breathing that creates almost imperceptible currents around your floating body. This geological respiration carries whispers of approaching rain systems still hours away, information encoded in molecular vibrations that your sleeping nervous system interprets as prophetic dreams of silver curtains dancing across distant peaks. Thermal stratification in the deeper pools creates liquid archaeology, each temperature layer preserving different chapters of seasonal memory. Your submerged limbs encounter water that remembers springtime floods alongside currents that archive drought years, creating a tactile timeline where your skin reads weather patterns from decades past. Nerve endings in your fingertips detect these temporal variations as your hands trail through liquid history, each degree shift triggering cellular memories of your own forgotten summers and winters. Submerged logs from centuries-old storms have become underwater nurseries where mayfly larvae construct geometric shelters from assembled minerals, their architecture following mathematical principles that mirror nautilus shells and spiral galaxies. These aquatic engineers work in darkness, yet their creations follow the same golden ratios that govern sunflower seed patterns and honeycomb structures. Your dreaming mind witnesses their construction through enhanced perception that transcends ordinary vision, seeing beauty in blueprints written in biochemical languages older than Sanskrit. Cave swallows nesting in limestone overhangs begin their pre-dawn stirring, their collective wing beats creating subsonic pressure waves that travel through both air and water. These acoustic signatures register in your inner ear as subtle rhythm changes that guide your dream narratives toward themes of flight and freedom. Their echolocation calls, pitched beyond human hearing range, nonetheless create harmonic overtones that your sleeping brain translates into music composed entirely of wind and possibility. Artesian pressure from deep aquifers creates gentle upwellings that support your body like invisible hands. Natural hydraulic systems that have operated continuously since ice ages carved these valleys. The sensation resembles floating in zero gravity while supported by benevolent forces that require no conscious effort to maintain their lifting embrace. These underwater springs carry dissolved minerals in concentrations that transform ordinary H2O into liquid medicine, each element contributing its own therapeutic signature to the healing matrix surrounding you. Morning glory flowers growing along the water's edge respond to increasing light levels by unfurling their petals in time-lapse meditation. Their purple and white spirals opening according to astronomical calculations programmed into their genetic memory. The sight induces synesthetic experiences where color becomes sound, becomes sensation. Their unfolding, creating visual music that plays across your closed eyelids in harmonies of lavender and cream, that taste of honey and morning dew. Caddisfly larvae in the shallows construct portable homes from carefully selected grains of sand and fragments of quartz. Their architectural choices creating tiny kaleidoscopes that refract filtered sunlight into rainbow patterns too small for normal observation. Your enhanced dream vision magnifies these miniature light shows, transforming each larval case into a living jewel that broadcasts prismatic messages across the lake bottom like biological fiber optic cables, carrying illuminated prayers. Subsurface root systems from riparian willows create underwater forests invisible from above. Their reaching tendrils hosting communities of beneficial microorganisms that process toxins and generate oxygen through metabolic processes perfected over millions of years. Your floating form becomes part of this aquatic ecosystem as symbiotic bacteria on your skin exchange chemical information with their wild cousins, creating biological bridges between human physiology and ancient forest wisdom. Tidal forces caused by lunar gravitational pull create microcurrents in these inland waters. Invisible rhythms that synchronize with your cardiovascular system as your sleeping body automatically adjusts its circulation patterns to match celestial mechanics. The moon's influence penetrates through layers of atmosphere and limestone to orchestrate subtle dances between your bloodstream and the lake's circulation, creating unity between personal and planetary pulse rates. Karst topography beneath the water conceals chambers filled with gases released by deep earth processes, natural breathing spaces where the planet exhales ancient atmospheres trapped since prehistoric volcanic activity. These subsurface exhalations create temporary pockets of different air density that your submerged body encounters as zones of altered buoyancy, each one carrying olfactory messages of minerals and time that speak directly to genetic memories of primordial oceans. Dawn chorus begins with individual bird voices joining the symphony one by one, their territorial announcements weaving complex harmonies that transform the acoustic environment from night's whispered secrets to day's proclaimed celebrations. European robins, blackbirds, and wrens contribute melodic lines that intersect and separate according to musical mathematics. Your dreaming consciousness follows like reading illuminated manuscripts written in pure sound. Photosynthetic organisms throughout the water column begin their daily transformation of sunlight into sugar. Their collective metabolism creating subtle pH changes that your skin registers as tingling sensations of renewal and growth. This aquatic photosynthesis produces oxygen in concentrations that exceed atmospheric levels, creating natural hyperbaric conditions that enhance cellular repair processes. While you float in this living laboratory of biological innovation, metamorphic processes occurring in bedrock miles beneath your position continue geological conversations begun when continental plates first collided to birth these mountains. The unimaginable pressures and temperatures involved in these transformations create crystalline structures whose vibrational frequencies travel upward through solid stone to influence the molecular arrangement of everything they encounter, including the water that cradles your dreaming form and the thoughts that drift like clouds through your peaceful consciousness. Magnetic fields generated by iron ore deposits in the surrounding Dinaric Alps create subtle compass deflections that your body's iron-rich hemoglobin responds to with microscopic realignments, each red blood cell orienting itself according to terrestrial magnetism, while you float in communion with planetary forces. This biological compass adjustment occurs below conscious awareness, yet influences dream navigation, guiding your sleeping mind toward magnetic north, where aurora borealis paint invisible light curtains across Croatian skies too far south for normal occurrence. Prehistoric pollen grains preserved in lake sediments release their genetic blueprints into the water through gradual dissolution, creating an evolutionary soup that carries DNA messages from extinct plant species whose lineages disappeared during ice age transitions. Your immersed body absorbs these molecular fossils through skin osmosis, integrating botanical memories that manifest as dreams of vanished forests, where giant ferns created cathedral naves beneath pterodactyl flight paths. Seasonal migrations of zooplankton create vertical columns of bioluminescent activity that pulse in rhythm with cosmic radiation cycles, their light production increasing during solar flare activity that occurred 8 minutes ago on the sun's surface. These tiny organisms conduct symphony orchestrations of living illumination that your closed eyelids perceive as aurora patterns dancing through aquamarine depths, while your nervous system synchronizes with their collective biorhythms. Hydrostatic pressure variations caused by underground rivers changing course miles away create compression waves that travel through bedrock to massage your submerged tissues with geological percussion too gentle for conscious detection. These tectonic pressure points activate acupuncture meridians along your spine, releasing endorphins that flood your system with naturally produced opiates more powerful than pharmaceutical alternatives, yet perfectly calibrated for your individual neurochemistry. Calcite crystals embedded in limestone formations respond to piezoelectric stress by generating weak electrical currents that create bioelectric fields around your floating form. These naturally occurring energy patterns interact with your body's electromagnetic signature, creating interference patterns that neutralize accumulated electronic pollution from modern civilization, while recharging cellular batteries through mineral-mediated energy transfer systems. Salt concentrations in specific microenvironments reach precise ratios that mirror amniotic fluid composition, triggering cellular memories of prenatal development. As your skin encounters these biochemical echoes of your earliest aquatic existence, the sensation induces profound regression toward primordial security. Each molecule of dissolved sodium chloride carrying you deeper into oceanic consciousness, where individual identity dissolves into universal belonging. Nitrogen bubbles released by decomposing organic matter on the lake floor rise in helical patterns that follow Fibonacci sequences, their mathematical spirals creating three-dimensional fractals in the water column. Your peripheral vision tracks these ascending geometries while conscious processing rests, allowing pattern recognition systems to operate without analytical interference, inducing trance states where mathematical beauty becomes directly experienceable rather than intellectually understood. Gravitational anomalies caused by dense mineral deposits create zones of slightly altered weight distribution, where your body experiences micro variations in heaviness. These gravity wells and hills exist on scales too small for conscious perception, yet influence your inner ear's equilibrium sensors, creating sensations of riding invisible elevators that ascend and descend through dimensions where physical laws operate according to dream logic rather than Newtonian mechanics. Ancient trading routes used by Roman merchants pass beneath these waters, their stone pavements now serving as substrates for aquatic plant communities whose root systems have grown through mortar joints to create living archaeology. Your dreaming consciousness walks these submerged highways alongside ghostly caravans carrying amber and silk, their phantom footsteps creating pressure waves that massage your floating limbs with historical vibrations. Ultraviolet radiation, filtered through pure water, creates natural phototherapy conditions that stimulate vitamin D synthesis in your skin, while simultaneously breaking down environmental toxins accumulated in adipose tissue. This aquatic detoxification occurs through photochemical processes that your liver recognizes as familiar cleansing protocols, triggering cellular renewal cycles normally reserved for deep sleep stages. While you float in this liquid healing chamber, dissolved copper from ancient mining operations creates trace concentrations that support antimicrobial environments where harmful bacteria cannot survive. Yet, beneficial microorganisms thrive in symbiotic relationships with mineral-rich substrates. Your body's natural copper metabolism accelerates in response to these elevated concentrations, enhancing collagen production and neural transmission efficiency, while dreams take on metallic luminescence that tastes of pennies and electricity. Atmospheric pressure, waves generated by distant Adriatic Sea tidal movements, travel inland to create barometric fluctuations that your joints detect hours before weather stations register approaching changes. This meteorological sensitivity transforms your floating body into a biological barometer whose predictions manifest as precognitive dreams of approaching storms, clearing skies, and seasonal transitions, written in the language of aching bones and tingling fingertips. Resonant frequencies created by wind passing over specific limestone formations generate standing waves in both air and water that create natural amphitheater acoustics. Your submerged ears detect these architectural harmonics as cathedral reverb that transforms even the smallest sounds into sacred music. Each water droplet's impact becoming a bell tone that echoes through stone chambers, whose dimensions were calculated by geological forces operating over millions of years. Radon gas seeping from uranium-bearing rocks creates naturally radioactive environments in concentrations too low for harm, yet sufficient to trigger hormetic responses in your cellular repair mechanisms. This beneficial radiation stimulates DNA maintenance systems that normally operate only during extended fasting states, accelerating healing processes while your consciousness floats free from temporal constraints, experiencing cellular regeneration as dreams of rebuilding temples from crystalline blueprints. Seasonal changes in water temperature create convection currents that follow patterns established by solar heating angles, generating liquid weather systems within the lakes themselves. Your body rides these aquatic thermal fronts as they migrate from shoreline to shoreline, experiencing microscopic climate changes as dreams of traveling between tropical lagoons and Arctic seas within the span of single breaths. Phosphorus concentrations released by seasonal algae blooms create natural fertilizer environments that stimulate plant growth in underwater meadows, whose photosynthetic activity generates oxygen bubbles that collect beneath your body like effervescent pillows. These biological air pockets support your buoyancy while delivering concentrated oxygen directly to your skin, creating natural hyperbaric chambers that enhance cognitive function and induce lucid dreaming states. Seismic activity from distant earthquakes creates vibrations too subtle for conscious detection, yet sufficient to massage your body through solid earth transmission. planet itself becoming a massage therapist whose touch carries information about geological events occurring on different continents. Your bones resonate with these terrestrial frequencies, while dreams expand to encompass global awareness of tectonic movements, volcanic eruptions, and continental drift occurring in real time across Earth's surface. Subterranean chambers filled with healing hydrogen sulfide create natural spa environments where beneficial bacteria thrive in conditions resembling those found at deep ocean thermal vents. Their metabolic processes generating biochemical compounds that penetrate your skin through molecular diffusion. These ancient microorganisms, unchanged since Earth's earliest epochs, recognize your human chemistry as compatible with their primordial healing protocols, initiating cellular conversations in chemical dialects that predate multicellular life by billions of years. Precipitation patterns from centuries past have carved microscopic channels through bedrock, creating natural acupuncture networks where water pressure stimulates precise anatomical points along your spine. Each limestone ridge beneath your floating form corresponds to traditional meridian pathways. The geological formations, having naturally aligned with human neurological architecture through coincidences so perfect they suggest deeper universal organizing principles operating beyond current scientific understanding. Fairy rings of mushrooms growing in forest clearings above water level release airborne spores that drift downward to create beneficial fungal colonies on submerged surfaces. Their mycelial networks extending into aquatic environments where they process heavy metals and environmental pollutants with biochemical sophistication that surpasses industrial filtration systems. Your skin encounters these purified waters as liquid silk, each droplet having been cleansed by fungal alchemy that transforms contamination into harmless organic compounds. Dewdrops condensing on morning spider webs create natural prisms that focus dawn light into concentrated healing beams. Their optical precision rivaling manufactured therapeutic devices as they deliver specific wavelengths directly to your closed eyelids. These biological lasers stimulate pineal gland activity through cranial bone transmission, triggering melatonin production cycles that synchronize your circadian rhythms with solar radiation patterns established over evolutionary millennia. Hibernating queen bees in hollow tree trunks maintain minimal life functions that generate electromagnetic fields detectable by your nervous system's electrical activity. Their royal jelly production continuing at cellular levels even during dormancy. These biochemical monarchs broadcast pheromone messages that your subconscious mind translates as dreams of hexagonal architecture, golden mathematics, and collective consciousness, operating through hive mind principles that extend beyond individual awareness. Thermal conductivity differences between various mineral substrates create temperature gradients in the lake bottom that massage your body through convective heat transfer. Natural geothermal systems operating on scales so subtle they require extended contact to appreciate their therapeutic effects. Your muscles gradually relax into these geological heating pads as circulation improves through passive warming that penetrates deeper than surface skin temperatures, reaching fascial layers where chronic tension dissolves without conscious intervention. Bioluminescent algae respond to your movement through the water by producing cold light in wavelengths that stimulate cellular regeneration. Their photonic emissions triggering photobiomodulation, effects similar to expensive medical light therapy equipment. Each stroke of your arm through these living waters creates trails of blue-green illumination that fade like shooting stars. Their brief existence carrying healing frequencies directly into your tissues through optical pathways that bypass normal sensory processing. Crystalline formations in underwater caves create natural sound amplification chambers where even your heartbeat becomes audible as distant thunder. The limestone acoustics transforming physiological rhythms into geological percussion that synchronizes your pulse with planetary rotation frequencies. These cardiac echoes return to you transformed by mineral resonance, carrying harmonic overtones that guide your breathing into patterns used by ancient meditation practitioners who discovered these waters long before written history recorded their presence. Submerged springs carrying dissolved silver create antimicrobial environments where wound healing accelerates through ionic mechanisms. The precious metal concentrations reaching therapeutic levels through natural concentration processes occurring deep within mountain watersheds. Your skin absorbs these colloidal solutions, while minor cuts and abrasions heal with supernatural speed. The lake itself becoming living medicine, whose active ingredients were prescribed by geological pharmacists operating over astronomical timeframes. Atmospheric phenomena caused by unique valley topography create standing electromagnetic waves that interfere constructively with your brain's natural electrical activity, inducing theta wave states associated with deep meditation and accelerated learning. These naturally occurring EEG modifications enhance neuroplasticity while you float in sensory deprivation conditions. Your mind becoming maximally receptive to healing suggestions broadcast by the environment itself through mechanisms that transcend ordinary therapeutic modalities. Quantum coherence, effects in the crystalline lattice structures of dissolved minerals, create water memory phenomena where beneficial molecular configurations persist long after their original sources have been diluted beyond detection. Your body recognizes these vibrational imprints as homeopathic remedies calibrated specifically for your individual constitution. The water, having recorded and amplified healing frequencies through natural succussion processes caused by waterfall turbulence and underground flow dynamics, negatively ionized oxygen produced by constant water movement creates atmospheric conditions similar to those found near mountain waterfalls and ocean beaches. Environments known for their mood-enhancing and immune-boosting properties. Your respiratory system automatically adjusts to optimize uptake of these beneficial ions, while your mental clarity increases through neurochemical changes triggered by increased serotonin synthesis. The natural antidepressant effects accumulating gradually as you breathe this electrically charged atmosphere. Microscopic quartz particles suspended in the water create piezoelectric effects when subjected to your body's pressure waves, generating weak electrical currents that stimulate acupuncture points along your skin's surface. These crystal-powered microcurrents operate below sensory thresholds, yet influence nerve conduction velocity and neurotransmitter release patterns, creating subtle energy healing effects that traditional Chinese medicine attributed to qi movement through meridian pathways, now understood to correspond with bioelectric phenomena. Rare earth elements leached from ancient meteorite impacts create trace mineral concentrations that support optimal enzyme function in your digestive system. Their cosmic origins contributing extraterrestrial healing properties to terrestrial waters. These stellar supplements dissolve into your bloodstream through skin absorption, carrying chemical messages from distant supernovas, whose heavy element production now contributes to your cellular metabolism through cosmic recycling processes that connect your physical restoration to galactic evolutionary cycles. Pressure variations caused by underground rivers create hydraulic massage systems that operate continuously beneath your floating form. Their mechanical therapy, delivered through water displacement patterns, too complex for conscious tracking, yet perfectly calibrated for human anatomy. These geological massage therapists work with infinite patience, their stone fingers needing muscle tension through hydraulic intermediaries that never tire, never rush, never deviate from therapeutic protocols established by millions of years of refinement. Bioluminescent bacteria in deeper waters respond to your thermal signature, by increasing their light production, creating personal aurora effects that follow your movement through three-dimensional space. These living constellation patterns shift and dance according to your position. Their cold fire illuminating underwater landscapes while triggering photosensitive proteins in your retinas, even through closed eyelids, painting dreams in colors that exist only in bioluminescent spectra, invisible to normal waking consciousness. Symbiotic relationships between aquatic plants and beneficial microorganisms create floating islands of enhanced oxygen production that drift according to current patterns. Their high concentration zones providing natural oxygen therapy as they pass beneath your resting body. These biological air stations deliver therapeutic gas mixtures through skin contact. Their botanical breathing apparatus, having evolved optimal ratios for mammalian physiology through evolutionary trial and error, spanning geological ages of aquatic adaptation. As consciousness dissolves completely into the living waters, your individual awareness expands to encompass the entire hydrological system, feeling each raindrop as it begins its journey from cloud to lake, experiencing every underground passage as personal circulation, becoming temporarily one with the eternal water cycle that connects these Croatian mountains to distant oceans, rising clouds, and the infinite recycling of elements that sustains all life on this blue planet, spinning silently through cosmic darkness toward dawn. In this expanded awareness, your consciousness flows with meltwater streams descending from velvet peaks, carrying memories of snow crystals that formed in stratospheric silence weeks ago. Each molecule retains impressions of its aerial journey, the weightless spinning through cloud formations, the gentle collision with pine needles that guided its earthward path, the slow percolation through layers of decomposed spruce needles that flavored it with essential oils, now circulating through your expanded being. Fossilized sea creatures embedded in the limestone release trace, amounts of calcium carbonate that once formed their protective shells millions of years ago when these mountains rested beneath Tethys Sea. Your dissolved consciousness recognizes these ancient marine signatures, temporary genetic memories awakening as your awareness swims alongside ghostly trilobites and ammonites, whose spiral forms still influence the mathematical patterns governing water flow through these transformed ocean floors. Butterfly migrations from North Africa carry Saharan dust particles in their wing scales, microscopic desert minerals that eventually settle into these alpine waters after transcontinental journeys spanning multiple generations of lepidopteran navigation. Your ethereal form tastes these exotic sediments as whispers of distant oases, caravan routes, and nomadic winds that traveled thousands of miles to contribute their foreign chemistry to this Croatian sanctuary, where continents converge through atmospheric transport. Hibernating brown trout rest motionless in deepwater refugia, their metabolisms reduced to barely detectable levels as they maintain perfect equilibrium without conscious effort. Your spirit body learns their suspended animation techniques, discovering how to exist in states between sleep and waking, where time becomes negotiable. And healing accelerates through reduced energetic demands. Their scales shimmer with bioluminescent bacteria that paint constellation maps across their flanks, living navigation systems that guide spawning migrations through underwater territories mapped in genetic memory. Subterranean wind systems created by temperature differentials between surface air and cave environments generate atmospheric currents that travel through limestone passages, carrying aromatic messages from hidden chambers where medieval hermits once meditated in absolute silence. These pneumatic networks transport the concentrated essence of their devotional practices, centuries-old prayers that crystallized into the cave walls, now releasing their spiritual fragrance into waters that carry sanctified intentions directly into your expanded consciousness. Migratory patterns of European cranes passing overhead create pressure waves that penetrate deep into the lakes through acoustic coupling between air and water. Their ancient flight songs becoming submarine symphonies that guide your awareness along migration corridors stretching from Scandinavian tundra to Mediterranean wetlands. Your consciousness rides these aerial highways while remaining dissolved in aquatic medium, experiencing simultaneous flight and flotation as temporal boundaries collapse into eternal migration between earth and sky. Mineral veins of native copper running through bedrock create galvanic cells when contacted by ion-rich water, generating natural battery systems that produce weak electrical currents flowing through the lake bottom. Your energy field resonates with these geological circuits as copper ions enhance neural transmission efficiency in your dissolved nervous system, creating states of heightened awareness that perceive electromagnetic conversations between metallic deposits separated by miles of stone, yet connected through conductive pathways invisible to normal human senses. Peat bog formations in remote sections of the watershed preserve pollen records spanning 10,000 years of climate variations. Their anaerobic environments maintaining perfect archives of botanical DNA that gradually dissolve into groundwater supplies feeding these lakes. Your consciousness accesses this genetic library through molecular resonance, downloading plant wisdom accumulated across millennia of adaptive responses to ice ages, volcanic eruptions, and gradual ecosystem transitions that shaped the current biological community. Alpine marmots in high mountain meadows communicate through ultrasonic warning calls that travel through solid rock more efficiently than through air. Their alarm systems creating seismic networks that span entire mountain ranges. Your dissolved awareness intercepts these geological telecommunications as vibrations that massage your ethereal form through tectonic transmission. Their social protocols teaching your spirit body how to maintain community connections across vast distances through substrate-mediated communication channels. Crystallized tree resin from Cretaceous forests occasionally surfaces in spring floods, releasing aromatic terpenes that have been locked in amber-like preservation for millions of years. Your expanded olfactory consciousness detects these prehistoric perfumes as they dissolve into the water column, each ancient molecule carrying biochemical messages from extinct ecosystems where dinosaurs browsed among cycads and early flowering plants, whose genetic descendants now frame these lakes with evolved beauty. Night hunting barn owls patrol flight corridors above the water surface, their asymmetrically placed ears creating three-dimensional acoustic maps that track prey movement through triangulation techniques. Your dissolved consciousness adopts for navigation through liquid space. Their silent wing feathers generate microscopic air currents that create surface tension variations detectable by your expanded tactile awareness, teaching your spirit body how to move through fluid environments with minimal disturbance while maintaining perfect directional control. Geomagnetic storms caused by solar wind interactions with Earth's magnetosphere create aurora effects too far south for visual observation, yet strong enough to influence the behavior of magnetotactic bacteria in lake sediments. Your consciousness witnesses these invisible light shows through bacterial perception, experiencing magnetic field fluctuations as colors that exist beyond electromagnetic spectrum limitations, painting your awareness with hues that have no names in human language, yet communicate directly with neurological systems evolved to navigate by stellar positions. Seasonal die-offs of aquatic vegetation create underwater compost systems where beneficial anaerobic bacteria break down organic matter into humic acids that give certain sections of the lakes their distinctive amber coloration. Your dissolved form bathes in these natural fulvic acid solutions, their molecular structures small enough to penetrate cellular membranes, and deliver mineral nutrients directly to mitochondrial energy production sites, enhancing your spirit body's luminescence through optimized biochemical efficiency. Historical volcanic ash from Italian eruptions centuries ago settled into watershed soils, where it continues slowly releasing trace elements essential for plant growth. Their mineral contributions eventually reaching the lakes through groundwater filtration processes that span decades of underground travel. Your consciousness tastes these ancient fire signatures as metallic undertones that connect your awareness to geological events that shaped Mediterranean civilizations. Their cultural memories preserved in mineral form, now integrating with your expanded being. Symbiotic mycorrhizal networks extending throughout the surrounding forests create communication pathways between trees separated by miles of terrain. Their chemical messaging systems occasionally intersecting with aquatic environments where fungal hyphae extend into shallow water zones. Your spirit form plugs into these biological internet connections, accessing forest-wide information networks that monitor weather patterns, pest populations, and resource availability across entire watersheds through collaborative intelligence systems that predate human civilization. Artesian wells drilled by Roman engineers 2 millennia ago continue contributing water to the lake system through channels carved in stone with mathematical precision that accounts for seasonal flow variations and sediment transport dynamics. Your consciousness follows these ancient waterworks through underground passages where original construction marks remain visible. The skilled craftsmanship of long-dead hydraulic engineers still guiding water flow according to calculations that have proven accurate across 20 centuries of continuous operation. Phosphorescent plankton responding to lunar gravitational cycles create underwater tidal phenomena in these inland waters. Their collective bioluminescence pulsing in synchronization with moon phases, while your dissolved awareness rides these living light waves like surfing on liquid starlight. Their biochemical chronometers mark time in cosmic increments that transcend human temporal perception. Each pulse carrying your consciousness deeper into universal rhythms that govern biological cycles across the entire solar system. Your expanded being gradually recognizes its temporary dissolution as a gift rather than a loss of identity, understanding that this merger with Plitvice's living waters represents not disappearance, but integration with systems of such vast intelligence and ancient wisdom that individual consciousness becomes enriched rather than diminished by its inclusion in the greater hydrological symphony that connects all life through the eternal circulation of water. minerals, and consciousness itself across Earth's interconnected biosphere. The recognition of unity dissolves into something even more profound, a gentle return toward individual awareness that carries within it the vast wisdom of temporary dissolution. Your consciousness begins to coalesce like morning fog gathering into dewdrops. Each recovered sense bringing back not limitation, but expanded capacity to perceive the intricate beauty that surrounds your reforming physical presence in these sacred Croatian waters. Gossamer threads of your returning awareness weave themselves back into familiar patterns, while retaining the expanded perspective of having been temporarily one with the eternal flow. Your fingertips rediscover their boundaries as they encounter the silk-smooth surface of a floating lotus leaf, its waxy texture creating perfect water repellency that demonstrates nature's mastery of surface chemistry. The leaf spins slowly in imperceptible currents, its rotation creating tiny whirlpools that massage your palm with gentle hydraulic spirals. Returning sensation brings awareness of how the water's mineral content has transformed the texture of your skin, leaving it impossibly soft and luminous with a pearl-like quality that seems to emulate light rather than merely reflect it. Your renewed tactile sensitivity detects the finest gradations in water density as dissolved calcium creates zones of increased buoyancy that cradle different parts of your body with customized support. Each mineral concentration offering precisely calibrated flotation assistance. The slow emergence from expanded consciousness reveals new acoustic dimensions previously beyond perception. Distant church bells from mountain villages ring the canonical hours, their bronze voices carrying across valleys and reflecting off water surfaces to create haunting echoes that arrive in waves of metallic meditation. These sacred timbres blend with the organic percussion of woodpeckers, establishing territorial boundaries on dead snags. Their rhythmic drilling creating syncopated beats that your heartbeat gradually adopts as its own tempo. Your reforming visual awareness discovers how sunrise light, filtered through layers of pristine air, carries spectral qualities unique to these latitudes and altitudes. Colors appear more saturated yet gentle, as if each photon has been individually polished during its journey through atmosphere, so clean it functions like a natural optical lens. Tree bark reveals previously invisible textures. The cork-like ridges of ancient oaks displaying miniature landscapes, where lichen communities paint abstract murals in sage and amber hues. Olfactory consciousness returns with enhanced sensitivity, detecting aromatic layers that build complex scent profiles as morning thermals begin their daily circulation. Wild bergamot releases its citrusy, essential oils as dew evaporates from its leaves, while hidden patches of meadowsweet contribute almond undertones that blend with the green complexity of chlorophyll-rich air. These botanical perfumes create three-dimensional scent sculptures that shift and reform as gentle breezes carry different combinations across your awakening nasal receptors. Your body rediscovers weight and form while maintaining the fluid grace learned during dissolution. Muscles moving with water-like efficiency as you transition between floating and gentle swimming motions. Each stroke feels effortless, as if you've inherited the locomotive secrets of aquatic creatures. Your limbs cutting through liquid medium with streamlined precision that creates minimal disturbance while maximizing propulsion through techniques that feel both newly learned and anciently remembered. Thermal awareness reveals how different sections of your body have achieved perfect temperature equilibrium with their aquatic environment, yet paradoxically feel neither warm nor cold, but perfectly neutral, a state of thermal meditation where temperature ceases to exist as a sensation and becomes instead a background frequency that requires no energetic adjustment or compensation from your autonomic nervous systems. The quality of silence here transcends mere absence of sound, revealing itself as a positive presence filled with subtle auditory textures that become apparent only in states of profound receptivity. Air molecules carry microscopic acoustic information, the whisper of spider silk vibrating in morning breezes, the nearly inaudible percussion of raindrops from last night's shower still occasionally falling from high branches, the delicate crystalline chiming that occurs when thermal expansion causes limestone to shift microscopic distances. Your vision adapts to perceive depth through water with unprecedented clarity, detecting objects and textures at distances that seem to violate optical physics. Submerged boulders reveal their complete topography through liquid transparency, so perfect it functions like supernatural X-ray vision, while schools of native fish appear as living calligraphy, writing temporary poems across underwater meadows of swaying vegetation, whose graceful movements follow mathematical equations too complex for conscious analysis. Taste buds activated by mineral-rich water detect flavor profiles that extend far beyond the 5 basic tastes, accessing gustatory dimensions that seem designed for appreciating liquid environments. Each sip carries geological autobiographies written in dissolved elements, the story of mountains being born through tectonic collision, the patient chemistry of underground rivers carving cathedral chambers through solid stone, the seasonal contributions of countless rainfall events, each adding their own chapter to this aqueous anthology. Proprioceptive awareness, your body's sense of position and movement through space, undergoes fundamental recalibration as you learn to navigate three-dimensional liquid environments with the same unconscious competence normally reserved for terrestrial locomotion. Your inner ear's balance mechanisms integrate new algorithms for maintaining orientation while suspended in fluid medium, creating sensations of graceful weightlessness that feel like practicing for eventual spaceflight through cosmic oceans. Electromagnetic sensitivity, heightened by prolonged contact with mineral-rich water, begins detecting the bioelectric signatures of aquatic life forms as they go about their morning routines. Fish approaching from beyond visual range announce their presence through subtle electrical field disturbances, while the collective neural activity of algae colonies creates gentle static that your nervous system learns to interpret as botanical consciousness, expressing contentment with optimal growing conditions. Your respiratory system discovers new efficiencies as it processes air supercharged with negative ions and fine water droplets, carrying dissolved oxygen concentrations that exceed normal atmospheric levels. Each breath delivers more than mere air. It carries liquid nutrition that your lungs absorb directly, creating sensations of drinking through pulmonary surfaces, while simultaneously breathing through aquatic interfaces that blur the distinction between respiratory and digestive processes. Circulatory awareness reveals how your blood has absorbed beneficial minerals that now flow through your cardiovascular system like liquid medicine, each heartbeat distributing healing compounds to tissues that recognize these substances as compatible with optimal cellular function. Your pulse synchronizes not just with external rhythms, but with internal cycles, now enhanced by biochemical harmonics that create whole body resonance effects. The boundary between your skin and the surrounding water becomes increasingly theoretical as extended contact creates osmotic exchanges that equalize chemistry on both sides of cellular membranes. This biological negotiation results in your body temperature, pH levels, and electrical conductivity achieving perfect equilibrium with the lake environment, creating states of physiological unity that eliminate the energetic costs normally required for homeostatic maintenance. Gravitational perception shifts as your body learns to utilize water's buoyant support with increasing sophistication, discovering how slight adjustments in position and breath volume can create controlled ascension and descent through liquid space with minimal muscular effort. These newly acquired skills for navigating three-dimensional environments feel like recovering forgotten abilities rather than learning novel techniques, as if human consciousness retains cellular memories of ancestral aquatic adaptations. Morning light reflecting off water creates prismatic effects that paint your closed eyelids with gentle rainbow patterns that pulse with your heartbeat, each color carrying distinct neurological impacts that influence brainwave patterns and neurotransmitter production. These natural light therapy sessions occur automatically as you float with face tilted toward brightening skies, your pineal gland receiving precisely calibrated photonic stimulation through cranial bone transmission that optimizes circadian rhythm synchronization. The gradual emergence from this profound aquatic meditation carries with it not the sadness of ending, but the satisfaction of completion, like the final notes of a perfect symphony that resonate in memory long after the last sound has faded into silence. Your consciousness, now fully returned to individual boundaries, yet permanently expanded by temporary dissolution, carries within it the living water's eternal gift of peace, healing, and the deep recognition that in this Croatian sanctuary, where limestone and liquid dance their ancient partnership, you have touched something infinitely larger than yourself, while discovering depths of tranquility that will forever flow through the streams of your dreams. Awakening consciousness discovers itself cradled in shallow coves where cattail stalks create living privacy screens, their brown velvet seed heads releasing downy parachutes that drift across mirror-calm surfaces like botanical snow. Your renewed awareness follows individual seeds on their aerial voyages, each one carrying dreams of future wetlands while performing pirouettes in thermals so gentle they barely disturb the gossamer threads of orb weaver spiders, whose geometric masterpieces span the narrow channels between emergent vegetation. Your palms encounter the peculiar texture of travertine formations still actively growing, their surfaces rough as pumice, yet warm from absorbed sunlight, each ridge and valley telling stories of mineral precipitation occurring grain by grain over decades of patient construction. These living sculptures shift almost imperceptibly as calcium-rich waters continue their architectural work, adding microscopic layers that your fingertips read like braille written in geological time. Each bump and depression, a word in Earth's slowest poetry. Dragonfly nymphs emerge from their underwater chrysalis in synchronized emergence events, their translucent exoskeletons splitting along predetermined fracture lines to release winged adults whose compound eyes perceive ultraviolet patterns invisible to human vision. Your quiet presence becomes part of their transformation. Ritual, as newly emerged insects rest on your shoulders, while their wings harden into iridescent membranes that fragment sunlight into holographic displays of impossible complexity. Native crayfish construct underwater cities from carefully arranged pebbles, their architectural standards requiring specific stone sizes and shapes that they transport across lake floors with engineering precision that rivals human urban planning. Your feet discover these crustacean settlements as you wade through shallows where bottom topography has been deliberately modified by generations of these freshwater architects, whose building codes account for seasonal water level fluctuations and optimal current flow dynamics. Wild cherry trees lean precariously over deeper pools, their root systems having undermined limestone banks through patient expansion over centuries of growth, creating natural diving platforms where your body can slip into deeper waters with barely a splash. The cherries themselves, now past peak ripeness, ferment on branches to create natural wine that attracts clouds of fruit flies, whose synchronized movements create shifting veils of living pointillism against verdant backgrounds. Thermal inversions trap layers of humid air that carry concentrated plant essences, creating stratified atmospheres where each breath samples different elevation zones of botanical diversity. Your ascending movement through these aromatic strata resembles climbing an invisible staircase built from scent molecules, each step revealing new combinations of wild thyme, juniper berries, and the peppery bite of watercress growing in spring-fed tributaries that taste the air as much as your tongue. Abandoned beaver lodges from historical populations now serve as underwater hotels for fish communities seeking shelter from predators. Their stick and mud architecture, having achieved perfect hydrodynamic design through trial and error rather than conscious engineering. Your swimming form glides past these submerged monuments to vanished ecosystems. Feeling the current disruptions, their strategic placement continues to create in flow patterns that channel nutrients toward downstream communities. Moonbows, lunar rainbows visible only during full moon phases when atmospheric conditions align perfectly, occasionally grace these waters with spectral displays rendered in silver and platinum rather than the familiar colors of solar rainbows. Your memory holds traces of such ethereal phenomena from previous nights, the monochromatic arcs having painted temporary bridges across mist-filled valleys, while your dreaming consciousness crossed between terrestrial and celestial realms on pathways built from crystallized moonlight. Submerged meadows of ribbon grass perform underwater ballet as their blade-like leaves follow current choreography, too subtle for surface detection. Their movements creating visual rhythms that hypnotize observers into meditative states where time measurement becomes impossible. Your body moves through these aquatic prairies while learning the grass's rhythm, your limbs adopting their flowing cadence until the distinction between swimmer and vegetation dissolves into unified motion. Ancient Roman coins occasionally surface after spring floods disturb deep sediment layers. Their corroded bronze surfaces bearing the profiles of emperors whose names have been forgotten, but whose metal legacy continues circulating through aquatic ecosystems as trace minerals that support algae growth. Your hands sometimes encounter these historical artifacts, their weight and texture connecting your present moment to centuries of human interaction with these eternally healing waters. Jet streams of cooler water mark the locations of major underground springs, their flow signatures detectable as pressure variations against your skin that create natural massage therapy, targeting acupuncture points with geographical precision. These hydraulic needles stimulate energy meridians through water pressure rather than metal penetration, creating therapeutic effects that accumulate gradually as you position your body to intercept multiple spring outlets simultaneously. Cave pearls formed in underground chambers occasionally wash into the lake system during exceptional flood events. Their perfectly spherical shapes, created by limestone particles, rolling in mineral-rich pools for decades, until they achieve mathematical perfection. Your fingers discover these geological gems nestled in sandy shallows. Their surfaces so smooth they seem to have been manufactured rather than grown through natural processes that require exact hydrodynamic conditions maintained over years of patient tumbling. Pollinating insects create aerial highways above the water surface, their flight corridors marked by pheromone trails invisible to human perception, but detectable through the organized chaos of their group movements. Your upward gaze tracks these living contrails as bees, hoverflies, and butterflies navigate between flowering plants, using magnetic compasses and polarized light detection systems that your own sense organs learn to appreciate through sympathetic resonance. The peculiar acoustics of limestone chambers beneath the lake bed create natural reverb effects that transform even whispered sounds into cathedral echoes. Your voice returning, changed after traveling through underground spaces whose dimensions can only be estimated through audio analysis. These subsurface sound chambers function as geological recording studios where your spoken dreams acquire harmonic overtones impossible to achieve through surface acoustics, microscopic tardigrades, water bears capable of surviving in space, populate the spaces between sand grains in astronomical numbers. Their indestructible forms, having survived every extinction event in Earth's history, while developing survival strategies that make them practically immortal. Your skin cells interact with these microscopic extremophiles as they demonstrate life's ultimate adaptability. Their presence creating biological insurance policies against planetary catastrophes, while they continue their ancient work of recycling organic matter at scales invisible to normal human awareness. Wild grapevines create living hammocks between shoreline trees, their twisted stems forming natural chairs where your body can recline while partially submerged, the vine's flexibility adjusting to support your weight, while grape leaves filter sunlight into green-tinted illumination that transforms ordinary daylight into therapeutic chromotherapy sessions, targeting specific neurological pathways through precise wavelength management. As evening approaches with brush strokes of coral and lavender painted across reflective surfaces, your consciousness prepares for another night of aquatic dreaming, while retaining all the healing gifts these waters have generously shared throughout this perfect day of floating between sleep and waking, between individual awareness and universal consciousness, between the boundaries of human experience and the boundless peace that flows eternally through Croatia's most sacred sanctuary, where limestone cathedrals hold liquid prayers in their ancient arms, offering endless absolution to all who surrender completely to their crystalline embrace. Velvet shadows lengthen across terraced pools as twilight weaves its indigo tapestry between ancient limestone spires, each darkening crevice exhaling the day's accumulated warmth in sighs so soft they barely stir the downy feathers of nesting kingfishers. Your languid form drifts toward secluded alcoves where wild jasmine cascades in fragrant waterfalls over rocky ledges, its star-shaped blossoms releasing their intoxicating perfume into air that grows thick with evening's honey-sweet embrace. Phosphorescent lichens begin their nocturnal awakening along cave entrances, their pale luminescence creating natural nightlights that guide your meandering path through channels carved by centuries of patient erosion. The stone beneath your trailing fingertips pulses with residual solar energy, each surface having stored the day's sunshine like a battery, now slowly discharging its warmth into waters that cradle your increasingly drowsy consciousness. Night-blooming water lilies unfurl their ivory petals in slow-motion ceremonies, each flower's opening synchronized with your deepening breaths, as if these aquatic timepieces have been calibrated to match your descent into profound relaxation. Their vanilla essence mingles with the earthy sweetness of night crawlers emerging from rich humus, creating an olfactory lullaby that seduces your senses toward complete surrender. Gentle eddies created by underground springs massage your spine with hydraulic fingers that seem to know exactly where tension has taken residence. Their pressure perfectly calibrated to dissolve knots of worry accumulated from distant daily concerns, now fading like ripples on darkening water. Your muscles release their grip on vigilance as these natural therapists work with infinite patience, their liquid touch carrying you deeper into states of weightless trust. Stars emerge one by one in the mirror-black surface, their reflected light creating portals between sky and water, where your floating consciousness can slip effortlessly between earthbound awareness and cosmic dreams, becoming stardust suspended in liquid night, eternal and perfectly at peace.